Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to the Drop Lod Pod. Thank you for listening to our pilot episode. If you did not catch it, my name is Edik. I'm a former Division One tennis player at Loyola, Maryland, and former USTA National Campus staff professional, where I met my co-host Nathan.
Hey guys, I'm Nathan. I'm a former tennis coach of about 5 years. I also worked at the USTA National Campus with Coach Edik over here. I was the front desk manager, so not quite coaching on the court, but I got to be around tons of people in the tennis industry and learn a lot about how it works from top to bottom. I also run a Twitter page where I give out some tennis advice and talk tennis once again, all parts of the Pro Tour. Love talking about the game, and I'm excited to do it with a guy that beats me in tennis every time I play him. Let's do it.
Absolutely. We're going to get into a little bit of a WTA finals preview, but just a disclaimer for everybody listening or watching. If you listen to our pilot episode, we made a lot of predictions, many of which did not come true. So we're going to continue making predictions, and they're not always going to be right. Hopefully, they'll come out to be 50-50. But as you see, we're just trying to make educated guesses as best as possible.
Predictions are hard, but we both enjoy making predictions. I should also preface for a later part of the segment that Edik and I make predictions back and forth at the beginning of each year of like two or three players that we think are going to rise or fall in the rankings. Edik's usually a little bit harder on people than me, so usually I take the risers and he takes the fallers. And then we also usually like to do predictions before majors as well. Obviously, you guys will see a lot more of it here, and just remember, predicting is hard. But that being said, we love to do it right or wrong, and we do hopefully expect to be right more than wrong, as we do have a lot of knowledge of all the players that we're talking about. With that being said, I am down to get into some WTA finals. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, let's
The,
talk about it. So the WTA finals taking place in Riyadh from November 1st to November 8th. If people are not familiar with it, it's the top eight female players this year. The way it works is there's two round robin groups of four players. They all play each other, so three matches. The top two from each group move on to the semifinals, and then there's the semis and the finals. So I think the best way to break this down, Nate, is to go group by group. So starting with Group Steffi Graf, we got Sabalenka, Goff, Pegula, and Paulini. Tell me your initial thoughts when you saw that group. And I'm going to give you a little stat real quick. Sabalenka, who's the top seed in the tournament, her head-to-head against Goff, 5-6, against Pegula, 8-3, against Paulini, 5-2. So overall, pretty good record against the people in that group.
Yeah, she's done pretty well. I'm going to add two quick things in here for the viewers that maybe don't watch as much tennis. Number one, when they do reach the semifinals, the best player from Group Steffi Graf is going to play the number two seed from Group Serena Williams, which is going to be the other group, and vice versa. And also, do you want to give the people a quick background on who Steffi Graf is? I have a feeling we might have some tennis fans out here who haven't watched past the past 5 years.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
yeah, Steffi Graf has got over 20 major titles, and she was one of the best players from past decades, and they are lucky to have her as a captain alongside Serena Williams, who I believe has 23 major titles herself. That being said, Sabalenka, for as you guys don't know, she's one of the biggest hitters on all of tour. She's got a very complete game. She struggled with her serve a lot in her early years on tour. She's worked a lot on cleaning up those double faults. Huge forehand, huge backhand, relatively consistent. Just she's maintained the number one ranking for the majority of this season, I believe, over taking over from Iga Swiatek, and just totally earned it and deserved it. Um, Obviously, as we see right here, she struggles with Coco Gauff. Um, and that's well documented, especially for tennis fans. Sabalenka's lost to Coco Gauff in the finals of the US Open as well as the French Open. She's expressed pretty strong frustration after both of those losses, saying some choice words, although they are still friends and they are still cool. That being said, Coco has not had the strongest year outside of her major win at the French Open. but she is one of the most athletic players on tour. She has an incredible backhand, and she has a very strong ability to just get balls back in play. And she's shown an ability to wear Sabalenka down into matches, more so mentally, I'd say, even than physically, time and time again. And I believe that Coco is also the defending champion here at the WTA finals, beating Qinwen Zhang in the finals last year. So I think she should be coming in with a lot of confidence. Obviously, there's always a little bit of pressure in defending points that we'll discuss how the point system works in a later episode. But that should be her biggest threat here. She did just lose to Jess Pegula in her last matchup. Jess Pegula is a very flat hitter. She hits her ground strokes. I'll have Coach Edik go more into grips in the future as well. We'll probably talk about them more in our Sunday episode when one of our coach friends joins us. She hits a very flat ball that can be difficult if you're not feeling your game 100% that day because she takes a lot of time away from you. But Sabalenka, being as strong as she is and as solid as she is usually able to handle that power and take Jess up. I think that should be the case here. And then Paolini, she's just a grinder. I can't speak too much to her game because I'm not the biggest fan of it. I've got plenty of respect for what she's done in the game, maintaining a top 10 ranking for significantly longer than I would have expected. Multiple major finals last year at Wimbledon, the French Open. And yeah, she's an impressive player, but obviously Sabalenka's got the 5-2 against her, and I would expect her to extend that record here as she's just simply should be too powerful.
Yeah, I think that's a great breakdown. Definitely,
Yeah,
like you said, Paolini has done well to stay in the top 10. She had a lot of points to defend this year coming off the back of a very impressive 2024 where she made 2 Grand Slam finals. I think it's safe to say that Sabalenka and Gauff are the 2 heavy favorites to come out of this group. Like you said, Pegula has gotten a win over Sabalenka recently, but for the most part, these 2 ladies have done well against the other 2 ladies in the group. Personally, I see both Sabalenka and Gauff getting through, but I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to one of the last matches in the round robin, or all of these ladies win one match. So we'll
yeah.
see what happens with that group. So now we
That's,
have Group Serena Williams, which, by the way, 24 Grand Slams. They're all chasing Margaret Court, and we have in Group Serena Williams Iga Swiatek, Amanda Anisimova, Elena Rybakina, or Rybakina, however you like to say.
so that was a debate from last week's episode. And according to my research, Elena's last name, we are both incorrect, is Rybakina.
Rybakina.
So
Okay.
that is the most common pronunciation that I have
Got it.
come across. Steffi Graf with 22 Grand Slams, by the way, coming just short of Serena's 24, although both have over 5 years of Grand Slams, which is incredible.
Wow.
But yes, Rybakina would
Rybakina.
be how we
Thank
go
you.
with that last
Thank
name.
you.
Yes,
And
Coach Ed.
then the last lady in that group is Maddie Keys. So Iga, the top player in that group, I personally think when she saw the group, she must have been like, wow, they did me dirty. Because again, safe to say that Iga struggles against big hitters, players that play super flat and fast. And, all 3 of those ladies do that. Having said that, her head-to-head against Anisimova is 1-1. Obviously, that double bagel in the Wimbledon finals, but then lost to her in the U.S. Open. Iga against Elena, 6-4, and then against Maddie Keys, 5-2. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. I looked at that draw and I was like, she must have felt done dirty and singled out. As many tennis fans know, Iga's greatest struggle in the tennis game is Helena Ostapenko, a player that is known specifically for her very large and strong ball striking, which has earned her a French Open title. However, she's not known to be the best mover, the most consistent, and has constantly kind of fluttered in the top 20s or 30s. But every time she plays Iga, she just gives her hell and hits right through her. And the same can be said. I think that once people kind of watch that a little bit and notice that pattern, they've seen that Iga struggles with these big ball hitters. I mean, Sabalenka would still qualify in that category, but she's got a little bit more to her game, I'd say. Um, Rybakina has given Iga troubles time and time again. Anisimova bouncing back from a double bagel in a major final to beat Iga in the U.S. Open just really shows the struggles with the big ball hitters because Iga had every mental advantage known to man over Anisimova coming into that match, which is also all credit to Amanda and Maddie Keys, who defeated Iga in the Australian Open semifinals this year. And that was an incredible run by Maddie to win that Australian Open. So shout out to her. A big reason why she's here right now. So going matchup by matchup, I think that I would give Anisimova the edge over Iga here. Some of my friends in the tennis betting community have been wagering on Anisimova to win this title, and I would say that it's a relatively reasonable wager. I think it's 5-1 right now. Anisimova has been arguably the most dominant player of this entire season, definitely of the back half of the season. Massive ball striker, incredibly talented, big serve, big forehand, big backhand. When she's on her A game, she takes so much time away from you. She hits her spots strong. I mean, she's easily earned her spot as a top 5 player in the world. Elena Rybakina, probably, in my personal opinion, the best server in the women's tennis game. When her first serve is on, she can buy herself probably 8 to 10 aces a match, which is a massive advantage in the women's game. Obviously not quite like the group leader Serena Williams over there, but probably the best we've seen since, in my opinion. Once again, a pretty flat ball striker, pretty heavy hitting. Relatively similar to Anisimova, I'd say. She moves a little bit worse. That's probably her biggest disadvantage and something that Iga manages to exploit deeper into matches. And then Maddie Keys, once again, all 3 players. I mean, you as a coach and as a higher level player can probably dissect the specifics a little bit better than me. But it's really 3 players that hit the ball pretty hard, pretty flat, pretty powerful, take time away from you. Really the type of people that Iga struggles with. I would say I don't expect Maddie Keys to be in much of form right now. I don't think she's played in a couple of months, and her mental game is not always known to be the strongest. She did have a little bit of a fall off in the second half of the year, losing to Renata Zarazua in the U.S. Open second round. I believe it was the second, in her home tournament, and not playing too many matches after that. I'd say that Maddie's probably my player that I'd least expect to be a factor in this finals, although once again, she has very much earned her spot.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. I would be surprised if Maddie made it out of the round robin stage. And I think speaking to the type of player that the 3 ladies are, the one advantage that maybe Iga could have is that she'll be playing against 3 very similar type players. So if she sort of gets used to that ball quickly, if the courts are a little bit slower, that will, she could use that to her advantage. Obviously, Maddie Keys plays with a little bit more top and has the heavy kick serve, but Elena and Amanda both play, flat through the court. Amanda with the backhand down the line, her strongest shot by far. I'm going to predict Anisimova and Elena to make it through, and we'll see what happens. Any predictions from you?
I will also go with Anisimova, as I just said that I think I'll give her the go-ahead to win the entire tournament as a bold prediction.
Wow, that's bold.
I think that being safe, Sabalenka is always going to be your safe play. I do believe that she is the best player in the world at the moment. However, I'm going to go ahead and go with Anisimova, make a little bit of a bold prediction here. I mean, she's pretty clearly shown she can hang with absolutely anyone and had some pretty large statement victories. I mean, she killed Coco a couple months ago in straight sets. Statement victory over Iga in straight. She beat Sabalenka in their last match at Wimbledon. I mean, she's in the form of her life right now, and I do think she can sustain it. But say Anisimova, and then for the other person, I'm actually still going to give Iga the go-ahead. I haven't been too impressed with Elena's season. I think that obviously she has the ability to get it done, but I just don't know if she's fully there this year. And then when they go through, we'll go a little bit more in depth with the predictions. We'll give Anisimova the 1 out of the group Serena Williams. We'll give Iga the 2. We'll give Sabalenka the 1 out of Steffi Graf, and we'll give Coco the 2. I think Anisimova takes Coco out. I think Sabalenka takes Iga out, and I think Anisimova goes ahead and takes care of Sabalenka in the finals.
Wow, you're getting detailed with prediction. I love it. I like the Anisimova pick. She's definitely high on the list. My only bold prediction for you is that Sabalenka will not win the title. I know she's number one. I know she's year-end number one. But one thing I like to do is look on social media a lot, men's and women's players. And Sabalenka has been doing a lot of vacationing and a lot of partying as of late. She played a couple tournaments in the Asia swing, but she's out there with Badosa, having fun and with the boyfriend. There's no problem with that, but I'm not sure if it's going to bode too well in Riyadh. So that's my only bold prediction for you.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the Paris Masters update, which is going to be our next segment, have you seen the Carlos Alcaraz short doc on Netflix where he talks about going and partying in Ibiza for a week and then sliding back to win Wimbledon casually?
I have heard. I did see the documentary,
Yeah.
and that's very difficult. I don't think everybody can do that. He's one of a kind.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just think that sometimes these players need to decompress, and I mean, the talent's there, but we'll see. I'd love to see the validity of that. Definitely some first match jitters could be expected. But on that note, let's go ahead and hop into Paris. I'm going to defer back over to Edik, who is leading us through this
Absolutely.
discussion.
So this week we have the last Masters 1000 event for the guys in Paris. And it's been an interesting tournament thus far. Obviously, Alcaraz lost his first round match against Cam Norrie. And again, another big story is Valentin Vachereau, the Shanghai champ. He's won 3 rounds already, including beating his cousin again, Arthur. And now he has a matchup against Felix, who's been very hot. So have you been watching this week, and what are your thoughts on what's going on?
So I have been watching this week, and we all can tell that I have plenty of thoughts on just about anything tennis related. So we'll keep them as concise as we can. Valentin Vachereau with the sun run, as some of us call it. Coach Edik over there calls it treeing, which is a term that we'll get into later on because I've never heard it before and I find it interesting. But I'll call it the sun run, as in he's running close to the sun because he's so hot. Valentin Vachereau is on a sun run right now. I've seen people compare it, for those that are big tennis fans, to Tim Van Rijthoven's run where he won a title in his home country and made it to the 4th round of Wimbledon a couple of years ago. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can keep it up. He was ranked outside the top 200, I believe, going into the last Masters 1000 in Shanghai. He goes ahead and wins that in the final against his cousin, Arthur Rinderknecht. They both went to Texas A&M and played college tennis together. Quite a feel-good story. Might have gotten milked by the media a little bit much for me, but it's still incredible nonetheless. They come into Paris, in Arthur's home country. They play again in the second round, and Valentin emerged victorious once again after beating Yuri Lechka in the first round, who's arguably a top 5 player on indoor hardcourt. And then today, when we're filming this podcast on Thursday, he just took out Cam Norrie, who beat Carlos Alcaraz in the previous round in 3 sets, and he took him out in straights as well. So Vachereau is looking incredible. He's only dropped the 1 set to his cousin, but he's got Felix Auger-Aliassime on the other side, who's also looking scorching hot right now. Felix is known to dominate the indoor hard season. He won back-to-back titles last year on the surface. He's already taken 1 home as well this year. Last tournament, he was forced to withdraw with an injury after losing the first set to Juanme Munar. But as the announcers commented, he didn't especially look too bothered. So how tactical of a decision that was remains to be seen. I should preface once again from the first episode that Edik and I both recognize that player injuries, they are injured, but that doesn't mean that they are unable to keep playing. Sometimes they have to be strategic with the length of their schedule. So Felix has come in. He's come back from a set down in all 3 matches so far. A little bit of a comeback king. Did against Altmaier most recently today, and Muller, Alexandre Muller, the home Frenchman, the day before. I have to go Felix here, although I have to say that Bastrero right now, I mean, I don't think there's a player on tour, not excluding even Yannick Sinner, that wants to run into Valentin Bastrero right now. He's just he's doing what everybody on a Sun run does best. He's just playing huge and he's hitting his spots. He's hitting his serve as hard as he can. It's going in. He's hitting his forehand as hard as he can in small margins. It's going in. He's hitting his backhand spots. It's going in. Um, every ball he strikes is clean. It goes where he wants to go. There's just nothing more that can be said than that. It's just a great run by him. I guess my question back to you, Coach Edik, before we dissect a little bit more of the tournament is, do you think that Bachero's run is sustainable, and do you think he will be beating Felix in this next round?
It's a good question. I'm going to go with Felix just because there's a little bit more at stake. He still has a chance to make the ATP finals. And I just think he's playing better right now. He had a great run to the semis of the US Open. And I don't think that Valentin can sustain the level again for another match. I could be wrong, but ultimately, yeah, it's to be seen whether Vachereau will have this continued success into 2026. What I will tell you is he's already in the top 32 in the live rankings. He's 29 right now. So he's going to be ranked at the majors. He's going to be seated at the majors, and he's going to get direct entry into pretty much every single tournament. And because he didn't have any points from this year other than Shanghai, he will have opportunities to jump up every single tournament, you know? And so he's really playing with house money in 2026. Even if he doesn't do well, he could still probably stay easily within the top 50. So it's yet to be seen, but it should be an interesting matchup. The one other thing I wanted to talk about was Dimitrov. We talked about him in the pilot episode. We were both wrong. He beat up on Pesci Pericard in the first round, although again, withdraws before his second round match. This guy is, I hate to say it, but he's the king of withdrawing. Him and Thomas Mahach, them two. But talk to me about that.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. And to be honest, a lot of the internet proved me wrong. I was having some discourse on Twitter before that match, and most people were telling me they expected Dimitrov to win. They were pulling on the fact that Dimitrov actually has incredible success against players outside the top 10. And once again, I mean, there are a lot of Dimi fans that think he should have won a major at some point. He's got obviously one of the best one-hand backhands on tour currently, maybe even that the tour has seen in general. His game is very aesthetically pleasing to watch. He's got a very concise serve. It's accurate. It's powerful. His forehand is good. His hands at the net are very, very smooth. He's got a pretty complete game. He definitely is more talented, but I think that our biggest overlook with Mapesci, and really in the tournament in general, and something I want to touch on real quick, is that the courts are playing significantly slower in court speed than they have in previous years. Yep. I know that Alexander Zverev caught a lot of heat recently in the news or at least in the tennis world, for saying that tournaments are intentionally slowing down the courts to favor the likes of Alcaraz and Sinner, although it didn't favor Alcaraz too much this tournament. But I saw a court speed metric, and I have been looking more into them lately. I will have to get a better understanding of what the specific number means within the court speed metric, but they showed that it had been a gradual increase in court speed between 2021 and 2024, up from about a 38 on their metric scale to a 44. This year, it dropped all the way down to a 35.6, which is about a 25% decrease in court speed.
Wow.
The camera angle for most of these matches, if you've been watching on TV or if other people are, is kind of a sky angle, which for those of you that don't know, is going to make everything look slower because you get a much wider view of the court in general. Makes everything look a little bit smaller and look like it's going a little bit slower. But that being said, you can still pretty visibly tell from watching points that players are getting to balls that they're more commonly getting to on clay courts than those that they're getting to on even regular hard courts. And I should preface for the viewers that indoor hard court tends to play the fastest with the lowest bounces of any court, I believe grass included, in fact. So it is usually a court where big servers and big hitters thrive, and these courts have absolutely not played to those conditions, which saw first round exit of Brandon Nakashima, big serving American, of Giovanni Mapesci Pericard, and of a couple of other people. I mean, even Yuri Lechka himself, who lost in the first round, is relatively reliant on a large serve. And a lot of players that depend on that big first serve, we're not seeing too much success in this tournament. Riley Opelka should be added to that list as well, losing the first round to Corentin Moutet. We saw Taylor Fritz go out today to Bublik. So yeah, just the court speeds. Carlos Alcaraz in his loss was seen telling his box that it was basically Roland Garros. So I think that that's very interesting to note. Definitely probably helped Demi in that match.
Yeah, absolutely. The court speed is something that's been talked about all year long, and there's been a lot of debate surrounding that. We'll see what the rest of the tournament brings. Obviously, Sinner a heavy favorite now to win the title, considering Alcaraz has gone out early. There are three other WTA 250s that are going on this week. Midweek review. Just wanted to touch on those real quick. We have WTA Chennai tournament in India. And that one is interesting to me because one of my favorites, Donna Vekic, who's had a horrendous year, to put it nicely. And I think she's in the debate, which we'll have later, for worst WTA years this year. But she's in the quarters and, in my opinion, has to win the tournament in order to salvage her year, because there is really no one left in that draw where that should challenge her.
And I would like to go ahead and bring up a player that should challenge her, and that would be Janice Tijen. I will have to get some enunciation lessons from Coach Ben Tauber on her last name, but Janice Tijen is a player I was watching for a while. She's been up and coming through the ITFs this year, absolutely dominating them, winning, I believe, over 80% of her matches throughout the ITFs, and winning around as many titles as she took losses throughout the year on that circuit. Although the ITF, which is the International Tennis Federation tournaments, those are the tournaments that any pro has to play to move up into the challenger level, are not that top level. They're still difficult. The travel's difficult and the schedules are difficult. So doing that as she did is absolutely incredibly impressive. And she's continued that success onto the main tour. She won a round at the U.S. Open, beat Veronika Kudermetova, who's been in the top 10 WTA, and came into this tournament as the odds-on favorite. She just beat Linda Fruhvirtova last night, who's a solid young Czech player. And she's currently sitting as the odds-on favorite to win this tournament. She's one of the players that I believe I picked with Coach Edik as one of my up-and-comers before the season. And I'm going to have to stick with her as somebody that I expect to be the champion of this tournament, as I just enjoy rooting her on. She's got a massive forehand that she leans on, I think, majority for a game, which is something that I think I can relate to as a very forehand-dependent tennis player myself. So I always love to see somebody whip out the rocket on the forehand side. And Donna Vekic, to your point, has a losing record this season, and she's a girl that can hit with those players we previously mentioned, the WTA finals with Rybakina, with Anisimova, like big, flat, heavy ball. And she's just, I mean, she was in the Olympics. She was what, a finalist?
Yeah, she got the silver medal last
year. Got the silver medal in the Olympics at the front at Roland Garros. So she's a very competent player. She's got a losing record this year. She's taken some somewhat embarrassing losses. And yeah, I think it'll be an interesting test to see if she can make it past Janice. And one more player I'd like to toss in the mix there is Mia Pohankova, a Russian player. She won Junior Wimbledon this year. She's 17 years old. She's also just got a very solid game. She's got a good serve, nice forehand, pretty solid all around. She's won her first couple of rounds. Just took out Diane Parry today, the French player. I think she's got an outside chance at making some noise here as well. So those are going to be the 3 out of our final 8 that I'm looking at for that tournament.
Love it. Just a small nugget on Janice. She played at Pepperdine, former D1 player. Earlier this year, when I went to a pro circuit event, ITF 100K event in Lancaster, in Landisville, I watched her play, and she was super impressive. Almost predominantly slices the backhand, heavy forehand. I was watching that match with tournament director Wilson Pipkin, a good friend of mine. Hopefully we'll get him on the pod. He runs the 100K event in Landisville.
At
So
least shout out, he's got to come on.
he's got to come on. All right, let's get to the WTA 250 that's happening in China. Again, someone who has struggled this year, and another one of my favorites is Putin. She's had a disastrous year trying to, salvage it with winning the tournament, similar to Vekic, who's, in a draw where she has a lot of opportunities. She can definitely win the title here. Do you think she's going to win it?
I do not. I believe that Victoria Gojevich, who she's facing up this round, I think is going to take her out. But I will say that if she makes through that, she's got a relatively favorable draw. Um, we've got Tamara Korpach in that draw, a German player who's much more of a clay court player, usually struggles heavily on hard courts and does not hold serve relatively often compared to tour average. We've got Lily Tagger, who's a young player who I haven't seen too much of, but I've seen her rising up a little bit. She's been relatively dominant on the junior tour, much like Pohankova. Had a pretty impressive win in the first round against Elisabetta Cosciorito out of Italy, who's a perennial, probably top 50 player or so. So I think that Tagger will be making it through there, could cause some issues. Ziswan Bai, who beat Ann Lee, another prediction that we both got sorely wrong when we said that she would be no threat at all. Took out Ann Lee as a 7-1 underdog in the first round in straight sets. Her and Dominika Salkova, I don't see much fear there. And then we have two interesting players in Alicia Parks and Anna Blinkova. Anna Blinkova, usually not too solid on hard courts, but sometimes she pulls out some wins against big players, as she did against Elena Rybakina at the, I believe it was the U.S. Open or the Australian Open last year. We'll go with the Australian Open 2024. And I don't think I'm mistaken on that one because I watch too much tennis. And then my favorite dark horse is Alicia Parks. Alicia Parks is an American player. She's incredibly serve dependent. When I said that Rybakina has the best serve on tour, that's only behind Alicia Parks when she's having a good day. Unfortunately, Alicia Parks, when she's having a bad day, you'd probably rather have Edik or I in there serving for her. She can hit 12 to 15 aces in a match. She can also hit 12 to 15 double faults in a match, and she's not afraid to go for her serve on every point. She got a first round win over the number 1 seed Lin Zhu, who was forced to withdraw after the first set. And then she grabbed a nice win against Kaya Huvan last round, who's been another solid player who's been playing well this year. I'd love to see Alicia Parks make a run and win a tournament. I believe she's actually won a tournament the last 2 years. So it could be interesting to see her slide in and win a title, as she tends to do time to time. Last thing I'll note with her, she's very hot and cold. She had lost 9 straight matches coming into this. And last year, she had lost 15 straight matches at one point, but also won 10 straight. So you can get really anything out of her, a true wild card.
Yeah, Alicia Parks definitely very streaky. I've also seen her at the Koser ITF tournament. So, like you said, her serve, she can ace 15 times, or she can also double fault 50 times. I know she was working with Jeremy Chardy earlier this year, but has since stopped and is coached by her family. So we'll be interested to see what ends up happening at that event. And then finally, the 250 in Hong Kong. There's a much stronger field there, including number 1 seed Belinda Bencic. There should be some strong matchups to come. They're just in the quarterfinals right now, but we will be coming back to you guys later on during the weekend to give you the full recap of those tournaments to see who won. Nathan, do you want to get into our last segment of the day?
Absolutely. Let me run through Hong Kong real quick in about 1 minute. I give Bencic the favorite right there. She's been, as we discussed in our pilot episode, playing some incredible tennis this year. Incredibly strong field. They pay a little bit better usually at these tournaments. They'll give the players some appearance fees, both things that we'll discuss in later episodes. My girl Maya Joint's in the draw. I don't expect her to win it, but I love to see her there. Another player that I predicted a meteoric rise for this year that I happened to hit on. Leila Fernandez and Serrano Cerste are matching up. That's 2 very solid tennis players. Pretty much everybody left in the draw is pretty established on tour, with the exemption of Himeno Sakatsume. But I think that Leila Fernandez should be advancing past her stay, although it's a relative toss-up. Victoria Mboko has proven by winning a Masters 1000 herself this year that anything can happen when she's on court. Anna Kalinskaya is a phenomenal ball striker who can struggle on serve and with mental from time to time. Had a dominant 1-1 win against Zhang Shui in the last round. So look out for her. And then Bencic should be taking care of Christina Buxa in this round, although I have seen her have troubles with her in a previous match before. We'll still give Bencic the edge right now, and we'll hop into that last segment, Coach Edik. So in the pilot episode, you saw us do our first drop or lob segment. It's something that we're going to be doing every episode as a little homage to the title of our podcast, which is Drop or Lob. So I'm going to be asking Coach Edik about a couple topics related to tennis, and he's going to tell me if he wants to drop them, which means that he's not a fan. He doesn't want to keep them going, or that he wants to lob them. Coach Edik in real tennis, he can't really lob. He's more of a top guy. But I'm more lobbing him. If you saw us stand next to each other, you'd know why. But Coach Edik, if he wants to lob it, it means he's a fan of the idea. So we're going to go over the 4 topics right now, and Coach Edik's going to tell me if he wants to drop them or lob them. So the first topic, Coach Edik. I've been around the USTA campus a lot. You see both of our hoodies, as I've said. We're former employees. The USTA has been very big on red ball tennis lately. They're playing tennis with a much softer sponge-like ball that people have a much easier time controlling. They're playing on a smaller court. Usually it's been used for kids 10 and under, but now they've been using it to try to get adults and some older people into the game in somewhat of a competition for pickleball. Are you a fan of this idea, or are you just drop it or lob it?
I'm definitely lobbing this idea. I was actually lucky enough to be part of one of the first sessions where we had a bunch of adults come in and play tennis on a pickleball court with large foam balls. And really the idea is to get instant success, right? So pickleball, people gravitate towards the sport because you can pick it up in really 5 to 10 minutes, start playing, and get good at it quick. So the idea here is, if you start on a smaller court with balls that are softer and even smaller rackets, we gave them the junior size rackets, you're able to find success quicker. And that should translate when you move to orange ball, green ball, yellow ball. And also it makes you feel good, right? A lot of times in tennis, we struggle because new players come and they don't find success quickly. It's very hard to get good at, especially if you're starting later in life. So this initiative, which is still continuing to be rolled out by the USTA, is one to try and attract and retain more tennis players. And I think it's working well so far.
Do you think it helps their form as well? I have to.
That's tough. It depends. You just got to make sure that the coach is reinforcing. I think that in a lot of these initiatives, the goal is really just to get out there and play. And then the form comes as a second part, because they're adults. They, are more, the USTA cares more about them just playing rather than the form, right? If it was a junior player, that might be a little bit different. So yeah.
Absolutely. USTA, I know we both left you, but come sponsor us. We love you.
That's right.
Second topic, drop or lob. The WTA doing a next gen event like the ATP does for their young players. So the ATP does ATP Next Gen. It's an event we'll talk about where they invite the top 8 players under the age of either 21 or 22 to come participate in Jeddah every year and compete for a title and some points, some money. It's an awesome way to showcase the youngest players on tour. Drop or lob the WTA doing a similar type end of year tournament?
Definitely drop, and I'll tell you why. Because most of the ladies under 21 are already top 50, top 30. You see Iva Jovic, you see people like Andreeva. They are already having success on a stage where they're getting ranked and they're breaking into the top 50. A little bit different on the men's side. Yes, you have players like Mensik, who won a 1,000 this year, and he's younger. But you'll see when the next gen, the ATP Next Gen comes, a lot of these guys are excellent players, but they're not inside the top 50 or even the top 75. Whereas that's a little bit different with the women. You'll see these young ladies succeeding. So I don't really think there's necessarily a need for there to be a separate tournament for them. You saw Coco Gauff winning at a very young age. And,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary. So definite drop.
It's very interesting. We are opposite on both of them so far, and that's why I'm happy that we rotate every episode. Third topic, drop or lob, doing 2 podcast episodes a week.
That's a good question. And I'm going to do this. If it was a real match, I would hit the drop shot. So say no to the 2 episodes. But then if my opponent got there, I would lob it over his head for the winner. And here's why. Drop, because 2 episodes, if there's a tournament going on, let's just talk about it at the end. However, I lob if there's a grand slam or there's multiple 1000s going on, over the 2 weeks. We need to come in with the midweek review and talk about it, sort of like we're doing today. Does that make sense?
All right, guys. So it sounds like what we're going to be doing is 1 episode a week on Sundays, and we'll be bringing you 2 when we have major events going on. Might have to work on Coach Edik for that, but this segment, not me. And the final question to wrap us up, Coach Edik, drop or lob me in a match?
Drop or lob you in a match? I'm going to say both. And I think I'll win with both, because if I drop shot you, it's going to be too good for you to get to. And if I lob you, if you somehow get there, I'm going to lob you and you're too short to reach it. So without saying more, I'm going to just leave it at that.
Doesn't want to have discussion about heights on stream right now.
I'm going to just leave it at that. Don't make me pull up the tape of us playing the last time.
We'll have to put it on the pod at some point. For those of you guys that don't know, nobody likes to talk more shit than Coach Edik. He talks a big game, but he can definitely back it up, and he's not lying. I haven't beaten him in a match before, although that will be changing someday. Don't you guys worry. That being said, you want to go ahead and wrap us up, Coach Edik? I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it all the way to the end, we really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. We have a new YouTube page. We're going to be having guests coming on very soon. So enjoy the rest of the tennis this week, and we'll be coming to you to recap all of these events, and enjoy the WTA finals. It was a pleasure, Nathan.
All right, guys. Good night.